Well, our next guest is a law enforcement agent who has been involved in several cyberbullying investigations. Bill Tsigaras now goes to schools to talk to kids and parents about the dangers of cyberbullying. He joins us on the line from New Jersey. So, Bill, thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning.
I want to talk first and foremost about the RCMP investigation into the Amanda Todd case. And that's because the RCMP in Vancouver are tracking tips right now, going through social media, looking for evidence in hopes of finding the people who bullied Amanda when she was alive. Just how hard is it to track cyberbullies?
They can be as constructive as, the bad can be just as constructive as the good. They can go anywhere and do their nastiness or bullying and disappear. Whether it's a cyber cafe, a public used computer, a library, any of those locations feed into people being anonymous and doing that kind of work.
So, when we talk about cyberbullying and trying to track down the bullies themselves, Bill, I also wonder about the laws that can be passed to prevent cyberbullying. Is that even possible, considering that the internet, transcends borders, transcends boundaries?
I think, and that's a very good question. I think one of the issues that has to be looked at as far as laws is, whether or not you've got the right person because of the being, quote, anonymous. But that being said, if you do have the right person, I think it sends a message that we have laws in place because you have a victim. And, we know that victims can take it from a depression to a suicide or anything in between. That's a harm. Seeing some people get a child endangerment versus, say, a homicide as a result of someone committing taking their lives or forcing someone to take their life. Basically, if you played a role in that, there should be consequences. But as far as governing laws, I wasn't in the law-making business. I was in the trying to catch them business. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that's a little tricky. But I do believe there should be laws. I do believe the laws should be in place. And I also believe that once caught, there should be consequences.
Well, there's also, of course, the component of educators and parents in the process of preventing cyberbullying. But, I just think about a handful of parents that I know, and a lot of them are not up to speed when it comes to the technology that their kids are involved in, are not up to speed in terms of the social media their kids use. What do parents need to do? What do educators need to do?
Well, basically, it's really a three-prong attack to go after this as far as an education. And making the awareness is obviously sadly, as more children take their lives, and that's what a lot of them are. They're just children. As they take their lives, the awareness is out there. Education is key. I get into the schools myself, and you would be so surprised when I ask, questions like, how many of you have ever received a phone call or a text message and you have no idea where it's coming from? And the hands that go up. I mean, and they entertain them. That's the sad part. One of the things, and this is probably a key element for both parents and kids, and that we can teach the children not to engage. A bully will come after you with something not nice and say something. And it's almost glandular for a child to respond back and say, and want to argue with that person. And if we can teach the children not to argue that point, but to ignore it and or to then show it to someone or let someone know, we're going to stop the bully right there. Because if a bully realizes they're not going to get under the skin of that individual, they're going to stop. They're going to move on. So that key point alone in educating parents and children is essential. Educators, sadly, are being taken away from educating because we're actually fitting our educators with the point of now taking care of social problems when they should be educating. I personally, I want my child educated by an educator, not an educator running around worrying about bullying. So, the sooner we nip this in the bud, even if we do have to bring a segment of education to the kids in school, the better we're going to be.
Okay, Bill. Listen, I appreciate your time on this. That is Bill Tsigaras, a law enforcement agent, speaking to us from New Jersey.